Hey guys, Steve here from theturtlefollower.com with the stock market outlook for September 8th, 2014. If this is the first time joining us, we like to look at the markets at the beginning of the week, see some possible areas where we may go to and some potential support and resistance levels that lay the groundwork for, our outlook for the week. So, as you know, our positions in the model portfolio are primarily long positions, so we like to know that, we're trading on the right side of the trend and that the market is, wind at our back. Of course, we don't take trades or exit trades based off just market sentiment. We do look at each position on its own, but, having a good idea of where the market is going is nice to put a little comfort in our back pocket. So we're going to take a look at the four indices: the ES, the S&P 500 futures, the NQs, the NASDAQ, the YM, which is the Dow, and the TF, which we just recently added, which are the Russells. So as far as the ES goes, S&P 500, the week was pretty much the same as last week. I mean, in here in the U.S., we had a little bit of a holiday hangover, and we basically just moved sideways for about 10 days until came Friday of this past week. It looked like we were actually going to close lower, and then slowly it rallied back and eventually actually closed higher on the day. Looking forward into this week, I still think that we need some consolidation, maybe some more sideways movement. I would be a little bit skeptical of any move that actually broke to new highs. I think right now we're really just trying to put in some consolidation. But again, that's one side of it. If you look at the weekly chart, it's a little bit of a different story, right? We're kind of stair-stepping up in these consolidation areas, and we finally broke out. So maybe that the market does want to actually move higher and put in another high. But I think at this point we're kind of getting a little bit extended away from that trend line. So if we rallied another 30 or 40 points, I would say that would probably be the max of where we would go. But if you look here, the last couple times that we had those pullbacks, they were V-shaped pullbacks. Came back in, rallied higher. Came back in, rallied higher, and eventually made new highs and just disregarded any type of consolidation. The difference there being is I liked how we had like this consolidation here. Let's actually identify that. So after that big V-shaped reversal, we had a nice consolidation there. Again, after that V-shaped reversal, we had another consolidation here. And right now, again, after that V-shaped reversal, I see this real tight range, which is fine. I just think we need to just put in maybe, I would say, another week or so of sideways consolidation. But trust me, if we're going to break out, that's fine with me as well. I just don't see the advantages to breaking out right now based on the longer term trend. If we can just build a nice little base in here, break out, I think the trend may sustain itself a little bit longer. But like I said, if you look at the weekly chart, it's a very different picture. The NQs, NASDAQ 100 futures, okay, similar story here. We basically had this consolidation. We moved sideways, we hit that trend line, we broke out, and now look what we're doing again. We're moving sideways again, coming into that trend line. So I think this one again would benefit from another week or so. Fill in this right side of this gray box here, hit that trend line, and then eventually break out over 4100. That would be a great setup. But on the weekly chart, a little bit different than what we saw on the S&P. We're actually pushing channel resistance up here in these levels. So this one to me looks more like if it was going to continue with the same patterns, that we would pull back and then eventually make a new high. But for right now, I think if you look at it on the daily chart, to me this one looks like the most poised to break out higher in the next week or so, because the distance from where it is now to this trend line is much smaller than what it was on the S&P 500. So ESS and the NASDAQ I think are set up good to move higher. The Dow is also putting in a nice little consolidation up in here. Okay, so again, V-shaped reversal, and now we're consolidating. we have to digest those gains. The fact is, we move so far so fast that if it just continued, it would almost go parabolic, first of all. And second of all, we would be extremely overbought. People would be looking to sell into strength. And the fact is that we're moving sideways, that we're really not seeing that type of dynamic. So again, I think this one, go sideways, fill in this box a little bit, let this 50-day kind of curl up a little bit. And I think then that one's poised to break out. Again, looking at it on the weekly chart, it's set up very well to move higher. Okay, we can adjust this trend line a little bit. We'll make it hit those bottoms. Okay, but again, you could see here, we look at these on the daily charts, and it's the same kind of dynamic on the weekly charts. We had a nice move higher. We consolidated sideways, came into that trend line, and eventually that provided us with a good point, a springboard to bounce higher, and now we're right at new highs. I think the Dow, well, let's put it this way, all three are essentially setting up the same way. Okay, we had some technical difficulties there, sorry about that. So the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P are all set up in similar fashions. V-shaped reversals, we're consolidating. I think that another week or so of consolidation and then eventually a breakout over those highs would be a perfect setup for a nice trade into the end of the year. I can't believe we're talking about the end of the year already, but the way I'm looking at it is it's set up. The setup is there, and the fact that all three indices, major indices, are essentially performing the same tells me that that's what most professionals are looking at as well. The one difference would be the Russell. Okay, the Russell we've talked about in the past. It's really just been consolidating for just about the better part of a year now. All right, on the weekly chart, it had a nice move, and now it's putting in a nice higher base. I still think this is a good setup for an eventual breakout over 1210. If you look at it on the weekly chart, on the daily chart, we've had these, higher, lower, higher. So we're coming into a point where now, maybe we can test up here at this 1200. But I think when we get to 1200 now, instead of reversing immediately like we have the past two times, if we could put in a solid month of consolidation, allow those buyers to step in at those levels, and then have an eventual breakout and have all four indices performing and moving higher at the same time, that's a good recipe for some success with some long positions. So again, we don't take positions based on market sentiment or exit positions based on market sentiment, but it's always nice to know, for me, which way I think the market's heading and potentially where some support and resistance are. So long story short, I think everything is setting up well. I think it would benefit from another week or so of consolidation. But if we got those breakouts this week, I don't see anything wrong with those. I'd just be a little bit more skeptical of if they're going to be sustained and how high they're going to push us. As far as the model portfolio goes, we're positioned very well with our long positions. So if you haven't already, please check out the weekend update and I'll get a little bit more information on that. And that's really it for today. We'll have another strategy session video tonight. So please make sure you're following me on StockTwits, Twitter, Google+, and subscribing to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're getting all those videos. You can also subscribe to the nightly recap and have them sent directly to your inbox. Have a great rest of the day, guys, and we'll see you tonight.